Hey, Steve Magnante here at High-Octane Classics in Auburn, Massachusetts with a very attractive 1970 Pontiac Firebird. Now, the fenders say Formula 350, which would have been the downscale Firebird if you didn't want to have a Trans Am and pay for the insurance surcharge that the Trans Am would have brought. So the Formula line had the suspension upgrades of sort of mid-Firebird, mid-Trans Am, not quite as severe as a Trans Am, but more aggressive and sporty than a base Firebird. So formula meant a formula for fun. Another thing about these cars was the hood, which is noteworthy because it's a fiberglass hood, which was the first Pontiac hood in Pontiac history with a fiberglass skin. And the thing of it is, a lot of people say, well, the 1969 Trans Am had a fiberglass hood. Now that had a steel hood, it really did. So for the 1970 Firebird formula, the hood here is non-magnetic, and I'll prove it to you right here. Here's my handy dandy magnet. Not going to stick. This is a fiberglass hood right there. And the beauty of the fiberglass hood was that it allowed for exotic forms and shapes like this that a draw in a steel stamping hood would not be possible without a lot of hand labor and hand work. So functional to the eye, and a little bit lighter than a steel hood, but we'll look underneath this hood in a moment. Speaking of functional things, 1970 was the first year for the urethane beak nose, which launched and sold millions of Firebirds throughout the 1970s. But here we have it in 1970 for the first time. The second generation Firebird, very arrogant and aggressive and sporty style. At this point in time, John DeLorean, who had his fingers all over the Pontiac GTO of 1964, was in charge of Pontiac Motor Division. After this, he moved on to Chevrolet Motor Division. But anyway, DeLorean loved European sports cars, in particular the Ferrari Berlinetta. And he had the stylist pattern this somewhat after the Ferrari Berlinetta, and I think they survived or succeeded pretty well. Full flowing fenders and just a great look to the greenhouse. Very exclusive, close coupled, but it's a 4-seat car. It's 2 doors always, no 4-door Firebirds. There were always 2-seaters like this one here. But something we see on this one is the optional rain gutter, not on all of these cars. In fact, Camaro and Firebird, you paid a little extra to get this chrome bead right here, which on a rainy day kept your arm and your shoulder from getting soaked by rain drop down. So this thing here was pretty, but also very, very functional. Inside this one, the automatic transmission, the Turbo 350, behind the 350 Pontiac motor under the hood. This Formula steering wheel right there, making its first appearance right there with the aluminum spokes, matte black, and the thicker grip, if you will, and nicely treated inside. And 1970 was the one year that the Firebird had a low back headrest. 1971, this had become taller, so 1 year only seats on these. 1970, again, low back headrest right here. 1971 would bring a taller design for more impact protection and whiplash prevention. And also the rally wheels, beautiful stuff on this one. And again, DeLorean's stylist did a very nice job with full-flowing, muscular shapes, but still very graceful. If you can have grace and muscle at the same time, the Pontiac Firebird does that job. And at the back, we see the iconic Trans Am style spoiler, which was a part of the formula package right here. It exerted a small amount of downforce at racing speeds, a small amount I must say, but these were also seen on all Trans Ams and very much a part of the formula package for a little extra money. Formula could be had without the spoiler, but most people opted for the spoiler to get a little taste of Trans Am in their formula Firebird. Now the formula went all through they made these things in the 1980s, the Formula 350, etc. But in this generation here, the 70, 71, and 2, and 3 were available with the 350, the 400, and the 455 as options above the base 350. So kind of a have your cake and eat it car without the killer insurance rates, but a beautiful piece, nicely restored and preserved here. And let's take a look under that hood, that fiberglass hood. Before we pop the hood and have a peek at what's under the scoop, behind the scoops here is basically the formula hood was not available on lesser Firebirds or on the Trans Am. The Trans Am was strictly the shaker in the middle, so formulas were the only ones with the fiberglass dual scoop hood as we see right here. Let's take a peek underneath this and see what we find. And that is a heavy hood. Even though it's fiberglass, it definitely is, it's production grade. It's not race weight fiberglass by any stretch, but it's meant to be durable. But again, the ram air scoops right here feed into a steel actually it's a fiberglass under panel, and with these circular holes right here and the correct dual snorkel air cleaner, which would seal to these, to the air cleaner on the Formula engines, would give you a small amount of ram air effect, and of course would vent under hood temperatures and cut them by 20%, 20 degrees, and give you a little bit of extra power. That's the Pontiac 350, which basically looks the same as the Pontiac 400 and 455, but inside the bore and stroke are different valve sizes, different ports. But again, a pretty potent engine at this point in time, 255 gross horsepower. That would tumble as the 1970s unfolded, but again, a nice example of an unmolested stock engine compartment. Has air conditioning, power steering, power disc brakes up front, and again the Formula came with the heavier duty sway bar front and rear, and you know, maybe you call it a baby Trans Am without the insurance surcharge, but a beautiful presentation, very much original under the hood. And here it is, the first year for the second generation Firebird, right here on display, or third generation, I should say, 1970 through 79 or 80, 81. When these cars were very popular. They sold millions of cars, from Trans Am all the way down to the Esprit to the base Firebird, including a lot of these Formula 350s. And of course, right here, this is the brag tag here, Formula 350. You could also see a Formula 400, or the big dog, the Formula 455. If you were driving in your Camaro, you might want to stay away from the Formula 455. But this would be a great cruiser. You know, fuel economy would be decent, 255 gross horsepower, probably like 190 net, which is decent. Nothing wrong with that. It'll move it down the road just fine. So to learn more about this car, check out the High-Octane Classics website.
All right, here we go, guys. We are channeling our inner Rockford files. The older crowd will know what that means. This is a 1970 Firebird Formula, though his was, I believe, a 76 Esprit. We'll have to have Mags clarify that for us. 350 Formula, automatic. Just a great little driver. No rust or rot. This car is actually really nice condition. You see, effortless, just handles like a dream. Shifts on point. Nice little car. I mean, it's not the fastest thing in the world, but I'll tell you, you can have a lot of fun with this car and drive it anywhere, as opposed to some of these 500-600 horsepower monsters that they just get temperamental. This is just a nice car to get in and don't worry about anything, cruise. Brakes are on point. This is going to be the episode that says, will we make it around the block without running out of gas? Because my guy puts me in a car with it on E. So this is like a Seinfeld episode, that how far can we go with the needle to the left? We'll see. Come on, Mr. Amazon. Ooh. Got a hard start fun right there. This car handles really well. I hope you get to see the perspective that I have with the camera. You see the two Formula hood scoops are pretty cool. I'm going to take this up to our little test track here and see how she performs. Run her through the gears. Hopefully we got no one behind us. There we go. Nice. Right through. Wow. So maybe I'm surprised myself a little bit. She does want to go. That was pretty cool. It kind of smells like a racetrack in here, but that's okay. We love the smell of burning rubber. That's what this is all about, though. You know, you have fun. You get into cars like this. They're really that's what we did back in the day when we were kids, and that's what I'm probably going to do until the day I can't step on a gas pedal. But if you don't buy one of these cars and do a burnout, you're not driving it right. You know, people freak out. It's like we're not on a sticky track here. We got street tires on, and it's not like we're going to start breaking stuff with a little bit of tire spinach. But yeah, this is just a smooth ride. Nice sound to it. Good exhaust note for sure. The Formula is just a different car. It's there's so many Trans Ams out there. You show up to a car show with a Formula, and everyone always they always forget how cool this hood is on this car. I like it better than the Shaker hood, to be honest with you. Kicks down nice and smooth. What a nice little behaved car. $70 miles an hour, she's like just buzzing down the road. Kickdown works perfect. There you go. Yeah, perfect braking. Doesn't pull. Sounds awesome. Definitely a happy little car. And we made it.